each and everyone. Today we are going to tackle about cash transfer. And before we proceed, let me introduce myself first. So I am Sweetie M. Valorosa, the first reporter. So this report emphasizes the critical role of the treasurer in understanding the various methods of transferring cash to and from a company. So each method is na siya unique implications like sa mga gasto nato sa adlaw-adlaw or sa mga bills or even sa manual processing requirements or unsa ang iyahang flow sa money. So paspas ba ang earnings or hinay. Now let's move on to check payments. So check payments, these are the documents that physically mailed around from a payer to payee, then to the payer's bank, back to the payer's bank. So physically, meaning hand-to-hand process nila ginapadala ang check from one person or place to another. So this is the reason why daghang delays when it comes from transferring or paying money between the parties. So mostly manggod sa checks is company is naga-issue ana. So why? Because companies use checks for a lot of reasons. So for example, payment sa ilahang employee, giving refunds sa mga customers, or making large payment for rent, utilities, or equipment. Individuals also write checks, of course. They might also write a check for donation, for charity, sending money to a friend or family. Para ba na siya sa rent or mortgage or daghan pa. So basically, mas daghang check ang ginapagawa sa company kaysa sa mga regular individuals because mas daghan man ang ginabayaran nila like sa mga salaries and wages or supply sa mga employee. Maunang if iipon nato tanang check, so kasagaran ana is gikan sa mga businesses. So next will be the bank check or bank draft. So bot pasabot mo na siya ang payment nga ginagaranti sa bank. So gina-ensure sa bank na naa siya available funds through deducting the amount of pila ibayad sa payer. So in short, safe and reliable siya for the payment. So in terms of receiving the checks to the recipient. So next is the mechanics of check payments. So mechanic of check payments is made up of three parts. So first is the mail float, which is the delivery delay. Second will be the processing float, which is the bank handling delay. And lastly is the available float or clearing delay. So ang mail float mo ni siya ang time na ma-consume for the check to be sent in the recipient. So usually by mail. So, for example, if ang company nag-mail o check, so magtagad pa siya pila ka days before siya maabot. While ang processing float, mauna siya ang time nga ma-receive and ma-deposit pa ang check sa recipient until the bank finishes processing it. But magdepende gihapon siya sa bank procedures. Lastly, ang availability float or ang clearing delay. So this is the time when the check is deposited and when the money is actually available to the recipient. So usually it takes 2 to 3 days or more. So ang net float mo na siya ang total waiting time or total delay before money from a check is fully transferred or completed. So example, naghatag kag check today but the check na-receive nimo siya after few days pa because kina-process pa siya sa bank and unsa pa lang ginabuhat, no? So wala pa nadawat ang money sa receiver and wala pa gihapon siya nadagdakan sa sender. So so aron dali siya ma-remember, ang net float is the delay before money actually moves. So unsa ka kadubayan magtagad before nimo siya ma-dawat or complete. So from sending it until magamit na siya nimo and and then totally makuha na siya sa nagpadala, which is the sender. So now let us proceed to investing float related funds. So this explains how companies can use their money wisely while checks are still being processed. So for example, when a company issues many checks that are not yet cleared, so the banks may show more available cash than what is actually recorded in the company's book. So mahitabo lang ni siya because of what we call float, so which is madelay ang check processing or procedure. So meaning to say, while the check is not yet cleared, the money can be used temporarily. So companies can earn extra by using money during float period. Pero kinahanglan ni siya ma-handle properly to avoid financial problems. So under sa check process flow, from the payer who writes the check and hands it over, then to the payee who receives it. So after that, the payee takes the check to their bank and records the deposit. So the next is setting the date. So basically, if you hand a check to a bank teller, they don't immediately hand you a stack of cash. So instead, they look at the check and assign it a value date. So meaning to say, they put timer into your money, then waited specific date to when the bank decided the money will officially yours to spend or withdraw. Then after that, they check it and send it electronically through a settlement system to the payer's bank, then taking the money so that the payer's bank checks the accounts and debits the money. So after that, the payer's bank is nagsend og cash to the payer's bank. So last process, which is the finish line, so pwede na withdraw ang money sa payee. Value dating. So value dating is the bank's way of managing the time it takes to move money. So it separates the day a transaction is recorded from the day the money is actually available to be used. So meaning to say, di porket nakita na nimo ang money nga nasulod na sa imong bank account or natag natawag nga book date is pwede na siya nimo i-withdraw or igasto, because in my previous report na atay ginatawag na value date. So mauni siya ang official date nga pwede na to ihatag sa bank ang money. So just like sa waiting period. So para ma-ensure nato nga dili fake ang checking nga maabot and tinuod siya nga money nga maabot sa receiver. So now let's move on to check payment through a lockbox. So a company can have its bank receive and process checks on behalf, which is termed as lockbox service. So unsa di ang lockbox service? So ang lockbox service is mauna siya ang shortcut para sa mga company. So imbis nga sa office pa ipadala ang bayad, so diretsyo na siya sa bank para sila na mismo ang mag-deposit. So kumbaga, fast track method siya for businesses to get their money. So question, ngano mang buhaton nila ni? So it's because para paspas og dali masulod ang money sa bank. So dili na siya hassle para sa imuha. Like for example, so the Treasury of Portland Cement wants to know if it would be cost effective to open a lockbox for the collection of receivables from customers. So because money comes in nearly 2 days, maka-earn sila og $86 every day gikan sa interest. So in other words, time is money or time is gold. Remote deposit capture or the fast forward button. So instead nga maadto pa ka sa bank para mag-deposit sa check, so ang company na mismo ang scan or mag-picture sa check para mapadala sa inyo ha. Like for example, kana naa kay assignment today and need nimo siya ipasa face to face. So ang remote deposit is mutabang siya sa imo ha to be able to send you a picture sa imong work. So wala siya hassle and dili siya dili na ka mabalaka nga malate ka sa imong pagpasa. So just like sa ato ang GCR karon. So GCR means Google Classroom. So dito na ka mag-send sa mga important nga informations and announcements nga mahitabo. Next will be the remote disbursement or the slow motion button. So Ang concept ani is diskarte rin siya sa company para mobayad gamit ang check nga galing mismo sa bangka na sa mga lago nga lugar. So nga naman nilang gibuhat or gimo. So ilahang purpose ani is padugayon ang money sa ilang account since layo man sila mas dugay ma-clear ang kanaang process or pag-process sa cheque. So, in short, nagpalipas sa silang time para dili makuhaan ilahang money. Pero, sa panahon karon naman tayo ginatawag nga technology and naman tayo ginatawag nga digital banking. So, gamay na lang ang naghimo ani. It's because digital banking, dali ra siya or dali ra ang pag-process sa mga digital information. Wire transfer. So, what is wire transfer? So, mao ni siya ahang expressway or ang pinakadali nga way para magpadala og money direct sa bank account sa depositor or sa company. So, if naa ka sa laing country, ang wire transfer ang ilahang ginagamit para sa pagbayad sa ilahang bills and sa payments. So, what are you going to do para makapag-wire transfer ka? So, first is mag-provide kag name, then account number sa sender or receiver. Second is mag-provide kag pangalan sa bank, then bank ID sa receiver. Lastly is kana ang mag-provide ka og pila ka amount ang imuhang ipadala. Like for example, kana ang need nimo magpadala og money sa imuhang igsuon which is naa siya sa laing lugar. So imbis nga i-ship nimo ang money, so kana ang work i-GCash lang siya nimo sa pagpadala pero bank ang imuhang ipaagi para smooth ang iyahang transaction. So question, nganong usahay madiliman ang pag-process? So, una, na ay cut-off time ang bank. So, kung late na nimo siya napadala, like for example, 5 PM na, technically, ugma pa jud na siya ma-process. So, just like sa Palawan. So, ang Palawan, ang cut-off time niya is 5:30. So, ug mula pas kag 5:30, automatically, dili na jud ka makakuhag money. Second, is the middleman banks or correspondent banks. So, usahay, ang bank nimo ug ang bank sa receiver is dili familiar. So, kinahanglan nilang moagi sa middleman sa bank para man-receive nila ang money. And then lastly, manual review. So, gina-check una sa bank if legit ba ang transaction before nila ipadala ang money sa receiver. So, naatay two types of wire transfer. So, which is ang book transfer o ang lifting fee. So, ang book transfer is mauna siya ang pinakapaspas nga process. So, mahitabo lang ni siya if ang sender o ang receiver is pareho og bank. So, kana ang mura siya og internal transfer. So, maabot dayon ang money. While ang lifting fee is mauna siya kibali ang ilahang service fee or deduction sa money sa bank. So, example, if nagpadala kag 1,000 pesos today, is 950 na lang siya ma-receive sa receiver because of the fees. So, maglisod jog record ang mga accounting ani because dili sakto ang iyahang payment. So, how does wire transfer work? So, based sa diagram sa picture na atay sender which is siya mo'y mag-provide sa mga details sa local bank and then ang local bank siya mo'y magpadala og money sa correspondence banks which is ang middleman. After that, ang correspondent banks mo'y magpadala sa money sa bank sa receiver and then finally makuha na ang money sa receiver sa iyahang account. So, balik ta. What's the difference sa wire transfer o lifting fee? So, ang wire transfer is mura siyang VVIP nga nagpadala og money. So, dali siya and then pang international pod siya. Pero mahal ang iyahang fees. While ang lifting fees, mao na siya main problem sa mga accountant because kulang ang madawat sa receiver kumpara sa actual bill because of sa mga charges and fees nga gina-deduct sa bank. So, naatay wire transfer trivia. So, did you know, sa USA, halos $2 trillion ang maabot sa wire transfer every day? Why? Because sa mga dagkong banks is nagpahulam silag money. So billions of money every night para masiguro nila nga balance ilahang records ug uban pa. So the global impact is that 2 to 4 days is that ang money nga naa sa wars kay katumbas sa GNP over sa 10 big countries. So now let's proceed to ACH payment. So ACH or Automated Clearing House is an electronic system para sa pag-send og money na ginagamit sa salaries, refunds, or paying bills. So if ang wire transfer is paspas pero mahal, ang ACH naman is murag bus or MRT. So, the more nga daghang passenger is the more nga barato ang payment or ang fare. So, proceed to sa ACH debits. So, in a normal payment, you push money to someone. While in ACH debit, the person you owe money pulls it from your account with your permission. For example, mura ra siya og Netflix subscription. So, dili siya manually nga mobayad jud ka o kana ang payment every month. So, ang ilaharang kwaon is ang money from your account. And if you don't have enough balance, of course, your subscription gets out. So, mo na siya ACH debits. So, global ACH payments. So, there isn't one single global ACH system that covers the whole world. So, instead, it's a patchwork of different national systems trying to talk to each other. So, there are two limitations that are of particular concern. First is the limited coverage. So, mag-work lang ni siya in certain regions like Europe, North Korea, and parts of the Asia. While in other places, you have to use the more expensive, which is ang wire transfer. Second is the limited remittance information. So, kini siya is maglisod jud ang mga accountant ani sa pag-track sa info. So, how does ACH work? So, there are 5-step journey of an ACH payment. So, first is the registration. So, mag-provide og kana ang bank details and sender to a service provider. Second is the authorization. So, ang information is na-send na sa correspondence banks or sa middleman. And third one is the clearinghouse. So, nag-send na si bank of file nga nag-contain of thousands of transactions sa ACH. Fourth one is the sorting. So, nag-sort out na sila digital files and ginasend nila sa correct na destinations bank. While pangkalima or ang the delivery, so pwede na siya makuha sa receiver o pwede na makuha sa receiver ang money sa ilahang account. So, letter of credit, this is used for big international trades where buyer and seller don't know or trust each other. So, to make it short, ang letter of credit is for building trust between sa strangers in global trade. So that's all for my report. So the next reporter will be presented by Nova.
Good day everyone. I am your next reporter, Nova May Jividad, and I am going to report the procurement cards, cash transfer, and fees for cash transfer. Procurement cards. A company can make a smaller scale payments with the procurement card program. This can involve the use of debit cards which deduct cash directly from a company's bank account, but more commonly employ credit cards. A procurement card program is an excellent tool for any company making payments to its suppliers, since it circumvents the lengthy and expense over of issuing purchase orders, matching receiving documents to suppliers' invoices, and making check payments. Procurement card is primarily used for lower-priced purchases. Under this system, the bank managing the procurement card program will bill the payer on a monthly basis for all charges made during the month. While remitting funds to the payee within a few days of each charge, procurement cards are normally used for smaller, higher volume transactions, especially in a retail environment, and are less commonly used for international payments, as the payers also charge a fee for any conversions of foreign currencies back into the credit processor's home currency. So, procurement cards or P-card is a company-issued credit card that employees use to buy small business items quickly without going through a long purchasing procedures. So, why does companies use it? Companies use P-card for faster purchases, convenient for small urgent needs, and reduces paperwork. For example, a employee named Maria is given a P-card by her company. She goes to a store to buy items like bond papers, pens, and printer ink. She pays using P-card instead of her own money and keeps the receipt to submit it later to the account department for liquidation. Why does using P-card internationally includes extra fee? It is simple. When you buy from another country, your money must be converted to the currency of the country, which means they add the conversion fee. Example, you buy an equipment from US using P-card. The item costs 5K, the currency conversion is 100, the foreign transaction is 150, the total charge is 5,250 pesos. Next, we have cash transfer, a form of liquid funds given by consumer to a provider of goods or services as compensation for receiving those products. In most domestic business transactions, a cash payment will typically be made in the currency of the country where the transaction takes place, either in paper currency, in coins, or in an appropriate combination. Inbound cash payments tend to be for very small transactions, though possibly in very high volume, especially in retail situations. However, business-to-business cash payments are not common. If a company receives large volumes of cash, it is usually more secure to hire a professional money transporter to move the cash to the bank on behalf of the company. To do so, the company locks the cash into a cash box, which the transporter takes to the bank. The receiving bank also has a key for the cash box. The bank staff opens the cash box and then counts and deposits the cash for the company. Cash is bulky, requires significant controls to maintain on site, and does not earn interest income until deposited. Given the extra cost of counting it at the bank, it is also expensive to deposit. Consequently, companies have a strong incentive to avoid both paying with or accepting cash. A cash between companies means one company pays another immediately using cash, or cash equivalents like petty cash instead of credit. For example, office supplies purchase. A company called ABC Trading buys office supplies from XYZ Supplies worth 5,000 pesos. ABC Trading pays 5,000 pesos in cash on the spot. The next, we have fees of cash transfer. The fees charged by banks vary considerably for different types of cash transfers. Of these types of cash transfer, the value dating delay is usually the shortest for wire transfers, though this can be delayed in some countries where wire transfer processing is still accomplished manually. The value dating delay is normally the longest for company checks, though this can vary depending on the source of checks as well as the negotiated value dating terms between the payee company and its bank. A cash transfer that crosses an international border is usually processed through a correspondent bank, which introduces both additional fees and delays in the transfer process. For these reasons, multinational companies may set up in-country bank accounts through which these transfers are routed. By doing so, transfers can take advantage of the more automated and lower-cost settlement system of local institutions. The summary of cash transfer methods can be seen in the picture of Exhibit 2.2, the comparison of bank fees for cash transfer methods, and Exhibit 2.3, the summary of cash transfer methods. What is value dating delay? Value dating delay means the difference between the actual transaction date and the date the bank officially processes or posts the transaction, called the value date. Because of this delay, extra fees or interest may be charged. Why it causes fees? When there is a delay, the bank may treat the payment as late. Interest may continue to accumulate. You might get late payment fees or extra charges. Example, you used a procurement card on March 1. The bank processes it on March 4, which is the value date. The 3-day delay is equals to value dating in delay. If payment was due on March 2, the system may think you paid late. You may be charged penalties or interest. ACH bad or good. In general, the ACH payment is the best alternative. It is inexpensive and can transfer cash quickly. However, it requires some initial setup time for a new payee. At the other extreme is check payments. The payee must wait a number of days before the cash arrives in its bank account, and it also involves extensive manual processing by the payer. The only viable reason for continuing to use checks is that the payer can take advantage of a favorable float. All of the other types of cash transfer lie somewhere between the extreme of these two forms of cash transfer.
So, good day everyone. I'm Ferdy Alan T. and I'm going to report about cash transfer controls. So, when you say cash transfers, these are when money moves from one place to another like paying vendor. This transfer can put a company at real risk of money being lost. Because of that, company need many kinds of protection called controls. Controls may vary considerably by transfer method, different transfer methods being different risks, so the protection should change depending on the method. It's saying when a company sends or receives money directly, it can become a big target for mistake, fraud, or loss. So the company needs strong safeguard, and those safeguard depends on how the money is transferred. Control for check payments. This control system for check payments assumes a fully documented packet of payables information is already created, containing receiving purchase order and supplier invoice information. It assumes that before checks are even created, the company already has a complete set of paperwork called a packet that includes what should be paid, the purchase order, the supplier invoice. So these are the following controls should be used to create and monitor check payments. So first, keep unused check forms locked away. Remove check stock from locked storage only when you're ready to use it. Any unused check must always stay in a locked cabinet. Companies should also keep track of the range of check numbers that are supposed to be used and compare that list to the checks that remain in storage. It matters because if someone steals checks from an unlocked area, they could write them to themselves or for fake reason, keep them locked and track the numbers. It makes theft easier to detect. Second is the limit who can access the tools that signs check. Check signing equipment may include printer used to print check, signature plates, signature stamps. If too many employees can access to these following tools, someone could potentially create a valid-looking check without approvals. Require a real manual signature for large checks. The rule says for small checks, it may be okay to use automatic signature tools like signature plates. But for the checks above a certain amount requires a person's manual signature. When, when signature plates are used for small amounts, there may be no final human review right before checks are mailed. Adding a manual signature for larger checks creates a final last check step for the bigger payments. The person who signs the check must verify the details. The check signer should compare the backup paperwork attached to the check with the check itself. They must confirm things like the payee name and the amount. If someone altered a check or attached the wrong invoice, the signer comparison acts like a safety net to catch the mismatch. Use positive pay. a strong filter for check. What it means, the company tells the bank in advance which checks are supposed to be crushed. How it works, the company sends the bank a list of checks it issues, check numbers, amount, etc. When someone tries to cash a check, the banks check it against the list. If the check is not on the list, the bank rejects it, so unauthorized or fake checks don't get paid. Why it's so effective? The passage says it virtually eliminates the risk of an unauthorized check being crushed because the bank acts like a gatekeeper. Important catch, the trade-off, this only works well if the company uses it consistently. If an employee manually issues a check but doesn't include it in the daily list sent to the bank will reject it. So it requires careful daily follow through. Example, if a company issues a $500 check to a supplier, the check number and amount must be included the bank's approved list for that day. If someone tries to cash a different altered or fake check, the bank won't approve it. Switch to electronic payments, remove the check problems. What it means, instead of paying by paper checks, the company pays electronically like bank transfers. Why this help against fraud? With, che- with checks, fraud can happen in different ways, such as employees doing something wrong or outsider changing a check or making copies. With electronic payments, there is no physical check to alter or duplicate, so those types of fraud go away. Other benefit mentioned, it reduced extra work for the company's accounts payable staff. The team that handles bills and payments, they don't have to chase down uncrushed checks that were issued but never crashed. There are also fewer worries about government rules for old unpaid checks because there are no checks sitting around. If an employee tries to tamper with a check to pay themselves, that option doesn't exist if payments are sent electronically and tracked through bank system. Reconcile the checking account every day. Catch issue fast. What it means, the company should compare what it thinks happened in its bank account with what the bank actually show happened. Why the passage calls it a detective control. Detective means it helps uncover problems, not just prevent them. By checking the account daily, the company can spot suspicious activity quickly. How it detects problem? If someone altered a check, or if a check shows up that wasn't properly recorded in the company's accounting system, it will usually appear when it clears the bank. Once the bank processes it and posts it, for example, on the bank's website, the company can see it right away and investigate. Example, if a check shows up at the bank for an amount the company didn't record, reconciling daily helps the company catch that immediately instead of weeks later. Controls for remote deposit capture. This text is about keeping things safe and accurate when depositing checks remotely, meaning you can scan checks and send them electronically instead of physically taking them to the bank. Even though remote deposit saves time, it can't be hands off. The bank still needs a way to confirm that the deposit really happened and that checks were handled correctly. The text lists two main controls safety steps. First, ver- verify receipt by the bank. What it means in plain language. After you scan a check and send it to the bank, you should get confirmation from the bank that image was successfully sent and received. What you should do, print a verification statement showing the bank received the check image. Attach the printed proof to the check copies. Keep it for your record storage. Why this matters? This helps ensure that deposit wasn't sent into the void. If the bank didn't actually receive it, you'd have evidence and could fix the issue. Example, imagine you scan a check on Friday evening. If something goes wrong and the bank never receives it, the printed verification helps you prove what happened and lets you correct it instead of waiting silently. Train for handling foreign checks. What it means in plain language, the remote deposit system only works for US origin checks. If someone accidentally scans a check from another country, the system might initially seem like it accepts it but later rejects it. What can happen? First, the system might show accepted, looks fine at first. Then a few days later, it gets rejected because it doesn't meet the system requirements. Why training is needed? People operating the scanner need to know which checks are allowed US checks, how to spot foreign checks, what to do if the wrong type is scanned. Example, a business employee scans a check that turns out to be from Canada. The system might accept it right away, but days later, the bank sends it back, causing delays and possible extra work to resolve it. Controls for electronic payments. This outline case controls to secure electronic payments and prevent fraud or loss. First, restrict vendors' file access. Limit changes to bank details in the master vendor list to stop unauthorized redirects. Second, approve manual payments. Require signed doc for one-off payments outside automated system. Verify ECH debits. Confirms banks filters allow only authorized supplier to pull funds from your account. Password protect software. Enforce strong, frequently changes passwords for payment initiation tools. Extra approvals. Mandate for large new supplier payments to catch fakes like shell companies. Requires an end of the day payments review. Third party checks and end of the day payments versus docs and correct accounts. This form a baseline flowchart for high risk, high volume electronic payments. There are electronic payments fraud controls or to prevent errors, fraud in supplier payments or debits. Impose an outright debit block on all company accounts, ban all incoming debits, forcing company to initiate all payments. Request a daily cumulative limit for authorized trading partners debit. Cap daily total debits per authorized supplier. Request notification of duplicate debits. Banks notifies or blocks repeated debits. Use a separate bank accounts as the source of electronic payments. Use separate payments account with minimal funds scrutinized by big transfers. They limit unauthorized large fake debits while ensuring legit payments processed safely. Letter of credit controls to maximize seller payments odds. First, avoid approval by buyer. Ban docs needing buyer signature. Second, avoid tight dating. Add buffer to ship present dates, extends expiry for fixes, get written revisions. Minimize presentment documents. Minimize required documents via negotiation. Require a financial strong issuing bank. Use high credit rating bank. Require confirmation by US banks. Add US bank guarantee if foreign issuer risky. Require payment prior to buy procession. Ensure payments before buyer get goods. Focus reduce strict terms. Docs that delay rejects claims. LC controls. First, amendments before shipments. Get all LC change approved in written by buyer seller ensuing confirming banks before shipping. Bank enforce originally terms if amendments fail, no payments despite cheap goods. Risk X. Example, ship red widget before LC amends from blue, bank rejects. Second, exact invoice match. Rule invoice description must mirror LC word for word. Train staff plus second verifier. Banks reject any mismatch under strict compliance UCP 600. Risk example, LC 500 kg Arabic coffee, invoice 500 kg premium Arabica, payment refused. Controls for procurement cards aim at ensuring accountability and preventing misuse. Key controls are summarized as follows. Purchase logging. Card users must maintain a log of all purchases to ensure they can accurately reconcile this with a monthly card statement, identifying any missing receipts or reject items. Monthly reconciliation. Card holders are required to review their monthly statement provided by the card issuer against their transaction logs. Missing receipt form. Users must attach original receipt to their statement. If a receipt is missing, they must complete a missing receipt form, which will be reviewed and approved by their department manager to ensure purchase validity. Line item rejection forms. A structured process allows cardholders to formally reject line items on their statement using a dedicated procurement card like item rejection form. Reconciliation checklist. A checklist helps confirm that all steps in the reconciliation process are complete and signed by cardholders to reduce the chance of oversight. Supervisory review. A third-party review, ideally conducted by someone with budgetary responsibility in the department, ensures that all purchases are appropriate and that no inappropriate or split purchase occur. In addition to the basic controls, there are other preventive measures to restrict excessive or inappropriate purchases. Purchasing limits. Limits can be placed on daily and monthly spending and restricting specific supplier, minimizing the risk of misuse, especially in cases of card theft. Approval for spending limit changes. Any request for increased spending limits must be closely monitored and approved by supervisor to prevent potential fraud. Approve supplier usage. To ensure compliance with negotiated pricing, purchase should be only be made from approved supplier, reinforced by providing cardholders with a directory of these suppliers. These controls collectively aim to enhance the integrity of procurement card usage within the organization. Cash transfer policies outline the preferred methods and authorization for funds transfers. Key points include ACH transactions, identified as the favored payments method due to low transaction cost and precise cash planning. Procurement cards, recommended for payments under a specified amount, allowing for a single monthly payment instead of multiple ACH transactions. Authorization review. Employees authorized to sign checks and approve electronic payments must be reviewed at least annually to ensure proper oversight. Wire transfer approval. Any wire transfer above a certain amount require approval from an authorized employee, typically involving a two-step authentication process for enhanced oversight. Cash transfers procedures. These procedures help ensure that cash movements are managed securely and efficiently, minimizing the risk of errors and potentially fraud. Payments by check in Exhibit 2.6. This procedure outlines the steps for issuing payments through checks. The typical steps may include initiation, verification, preparation, approval, record keeping, mailing or handing over of check. Electronic payment in Exhibit 2.7. This procedure facilitates payment made electronically, such as through bank transfers or online payment systems. Typically, steps include initiation, setup, approval, execution, and confirmation. Letter of credit in Exhibit 2.8. This procedure relates to issuing of a letter of credit, typically used in international transactions. Steps might include application, documentation, review and approval, issuance, and tracking. Using a company procurement card in Exhibit 2.9, this procedure outlines how to make payments using company procurement cards. Steps typically include purchase request, card usage, receipt collections, log transactions, reconciliation, and approval. These procedures aim to maintain oversight, ensure compliance with company policies, and promote transparency in cash management, reducing the risk of financial inaccuracies or fraud during cash transfers. Each step is designed to involve appropriate checks and balance to safeguard financial resources.